What if I told you that spending 1,000 hours watching English videos, streaming movies with subtitles, and just listening to podcasts all day will do absolutely nothing for your ability to actually speak the language?
I mean, it really shatters the most comfortable illusion we have about learning, doesn't it?
Oh, completely.
We just naturally want to believe that if we consume enough information, the skill will somehow magically transfer into our bodies.
It's the ultimate illusion of competence. Like, you sit on the couch, you watch a 10-part masterclass on how to swim, and you feel incredibly productive.
Right, you're taking notes, nodding along.
Exactly. You understand the theory of buoyancy, the exact mechanics of the freestyle stroke. But the second you jump into the deep end of the pool, you just panic and sink.
Because you haven't actually practiced swimming. You've just, practiced watching.
Yes. And bridging that massive gap between passive knowledge and actual physical execution is our mission today. Welcome to the deep dive, everyone.
We are so excited for this one.
We really are. Today, we are uncovering the actual mechanics of language fluency by analyzing transcripts from some of the most popular and effective YouTube English-speaking challenges out there.
And the material here is just incredibly practical.
Yeah.
These specific challenges bypass traditional textbook grammar completely.
Which is such a relief, honestly.
It is. They treat language not as some boring academic subject to be studied, but as a physical behavior to be trained.
So we are going to explore the core technique these challenges use. It's a method known as shadowing.
Which is a game changer.
Total game changer. We'll break down the cognitive science of why it rewires your brain, how mastering super mundane everyday phrases leads to automaticity, and why the ultimate secret to fluency actually has less to do with vocabulary.
And everything to do with manipulating your brain's threat response. It's fascinating stuff.
It really is. So whether you are actively learning English, tackling a totally different language, or if you're just fascinated by how the brain builds new habits, this deep dive is going to give you the exact blueprint to stop overthinking and just start doing.
Love that. Stop overthinking. Start doing.
Right. Oh, and stick around till the very end, because the secret to real fluency has almost nothing to do with complex grammar and literally everything to do with something much more emotional.
So true. But to start, I think we really need to look at the physical mechanism of this shadowing technique.
Yeah. Let's lay the groundwork. What actually is it?
Well, on a purely mechanical level, shadowing is a technique where you listen to a sentence spoken slowly and clearly by a fluent speaker, and then you repeat it out loud, almost at the exact same time.
So you're right on their heels.
Exactly. You mirror the rhythm, the intonation, the pauses. You act as their vocal shadow.
Okay, but wait, let me challenge the entire premise for a second here.
Go for it.
Because you see this advice constantly online, right? Like, learn a language like a baby.
Oh yeah, you hear that everywhere.
Right. But babies do not shadow. A toddler spends like a year or two just passively listening, soaking up the language of their parents before they ever utter a single coherent sentence.
Right.
They are the ultimate passive learners. So why can't an adult just do the same thing? Why can't I just put on a British drama, relax, let my brain absorb the syntax through osmosis, and let neuroplasticity do its thing?
Okay, that is a brilliant distinction, and it really gets to the heart of adult neuroplasticity versus childhood development.
Okay, but lay it on me.
So a baby's brain is basically a completely blank slate. They are building their entire auditory and phonetic map from scratch.
Right.
But as an adult, your brain is already heavily optimized for your native language. I mean, it has become violently efficient.
Efficient meaning it just ignores things it doesn't think I need.
Exactly that. Your adult brain actively filters out phonetic sounds that don't fit into your native language categories. It's trying to save energy.
Wow. So it's literally blocking it out.
Yeah. When you passively listen to a foreign language, your brain isn't building a new map. It's either force-fitting those foreign sounds into your existing native boxes, or it's just translating the meaning and immediately discarding the sound altogether.
Oh, man. So it's the difference between reading a restaurant menu and actually cooking the meal.
Oh, that's a great way to put it.
Like, I can read a Michelin star menu 100 times. I can memorize all the exotic ingredients. I can understand the flavor profiles, right?
Right, you know all the theory.
Exactly. But if you put me in a commercial kitchen and hand me a chef's knife, I'm going to chop my finger off. Reading the menu never taught my hands how to hold a knife.
Yes. That analogy perfectly captures the trap of the internal translation process.
It just feels so true.
Because when you only listen, your brain leans entirely on working memory. You hear a phrase, you translate it to your native language in your head, you grasp the concept, and you feel, satisfied.
You feel like you're learning.
But your motor cortex, like the actual part of your brain that controls your vocal cords, your tongue, your lips, it was completely inactive that whole time.
Wow. It's literally a physical disconnect.
Exactly. Shadowing forces you to bypass that internal translation. By speaking immediately, you hijack what cognitive scientists call the phonological loop.
Meaning, you don't give your brain the time to translate. You just force the physical production of the sound.
You are building new muscle memory. The sources we analyzed refer to this repeatedly as going to the speaking gym.
The speaking gym. I love that.
Right. Just watching someone else lift weights doesn't tear your muscle fibers. You have to put your own nervous system under tension.
You have to do the reps yourself.
Exactly. When you shadow, you shift from being a passive consumer of information to an active producer of language.
Which fundamentally changes what you are actually practicing. But, that brings up a really interesting question about the material itself.
Okay, what do you mean?
Well, if shadowing is the gym, what specific weights are we actually lifting here? Because when I dug into the transcripts of these speaking challenges, I was completely caught off guard by the actual sentences the learners are asked to repeat.
Oh, I know exactly what you're going to say. They are deceptively simple, aren't they?
Simple is an understatement. I mean, listen to the practice phrases I pulled from the source material.
Let's hear them.
Okay, here they are. I usually wake up around 6:30. I brush my teeth slowly and carefully. I take a deep breath and stretch. I make a cup of coffee. Can I get the bill, please?
Yeah, the mundanity is entirely the point.
But doesn't that seem, counterproductive? If my goal is fluency-like, if I want to sound intelligent and articulate in a business meeting or debate philosophy or negotiate a contract, why am I spending my limited study time practicing? I stay in bed for 5 more minutes.
It feels almost robotic, right?
It really does. Shouldn't
Yeah.
we be practicing high-level vocabulary, pushing our limits?
Well, see, that assumes fluency is defined by the size of your vocabulary, and the sources aggressively argue the exact opposite.
Oh, really?
Yes, fluency is not an expansive vocabulary. Fluency is flow. It is the complete lack of hesitation.
Flow. Okay, I like that.
And to understand why narrating your morning coffee is so incredibly powerful, we have to look at the concept of cognitive load.
Okay, cognitive load, which is the amount of mental bandwidth a task requires.
Right. When you are trying to speak a new language in a high-stakes scenario, like that business negotiation you mentioned, your brain is actually fighting a war on 2 fronts.
2 fronts. Okay, what are they?
First, you have the semantic load. That's the meaning. What are you trying to say? What is the profound, complex thought you want to express?
Right, you're trying to sound smart.
Exactly. And second, you have the phonetic load. How do you physically arrange your mouth and access the grammar rules to actually make those sounds?
Oh, and brain just crashes. It's like having way too many tabs open on your browser.
That is exactly what happens. Your working memory maxes out and you stutter. You freeze.
You completely blank. We've all been there.
Right. So by utilizing these incredibly mundane, everyday sentences, the speaking challenges drop the semantic load down to absolute 0.
Oh, wow.
You already know exactly what making a cup of coffee involves. You don't have to invent the concept. You do it every day.
Oh, that makes perfect sense. Because the content is completely effortless, you free up 100% of your cognitive bandwidth to focus entirely on the delivery.
Exactly. The rhythm, the pronunciation, the physical flow.
It leads to this state called automaticity, doesn't it? Like, think about driving a car for the first time.
Yes, perfect example.
When you first learn to drive, the cognitive load is massive. You are hyper aware of the pedals, checking the mirrors, gripping the steering wheel. It's exhausting.
You have to think about every single tiny movement.
Right. But after a few years, driving becomes totally automatic. The basal ganglia takes over, and you can drive all the way to work without even consciously remembering the trip.
Which is a little scary, but true.
Yeah. But the goal of repeating, I brush my teeth, is to reach that exact same automaticity with English syntax.
Exactly. You ground the language in your physical reality until the structure of the language becomes as unconscious as walking.
It's like you are essentially narrating a documentary of your own life, but using a brand new linguistic operating system.
Oh, I love that phrasing.
You practice it while cooking, while waiting for the bus, while folding laundry. The language stops being an academic subject and becomes completely integrated into your physical environment.
And that physical integration is vital because it addresses the single largest barrier to fluency, the physical mechanics of shadowing. That's really only half the equation.
Right, because the other half is entirely psychological.
Yes, very much so.
And honestly, this was the most jarring realization for me when reading the material. You assume a language challenge is going to be strictly about grammar and syntax,
Naturally.
but a massive percentage of these shadowing exercises read more like cognitive behavioral therapy.
The focus on mindset in these sources is just immense. It's everywhere.
It really is. I'm going to quote some of the actual sentences learners are shadowing out loud. Listen to this. I speak even if I feel nervous.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not afraid of making mistakes. My voice deserves to be heard. I am stronger than my doubts, and every mistake helps me grow.
It's powerful stuff.
It is. But if you stripped away the context, you would think this was a self-help retreat, not an English proficiency course.
Well, the creators of these challenges recognize a very real linguistic phenomenon known as the affective filter.
The affective filter. Okay, break that down for us.
It's a concept that explains how emotional variables completely block language acquisition. When a learner is anxious, fearful, or self-conscious, their affective filter goes up, and their brain literally blocks the processing of new language inputs.
Wow. Because making a mistake in a new language feels like a very real threat to your identity, doesn't it?
It really does.
Like when we speak our native language, we feel competent, we feel intelligent, we feel respected. But when we stumble through a new language, we suddenly feel like toddlers again. We just feel foolish.
And that triggers a genuine amygdala response. The brain perceives the social embarrassment of sounding foolish as a literal threat to your survival.
An actual biological threat response, just from a conversation.
Exactly. So the brain's protective mechanism kicks in, which is overthinking.
Trying to engineer the absolute perfect sentence before you even open your mouth.
Which is the death of flow. The sources specifically